Struggling to print those gorgeous planner inserts you just got? Don't stress, Mama. Let me show you how I do it. Hey there, Mama. It's Chloe from Canon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I print my planner inserts. It is really easy, I promise, but you do need a few tools to get a really nice job. So let me show you some of the tools that I love to use. So you're going to need some decent paper, and I use Canon Top Colour paper because I have a Canon printer, and this is 120 GSM, or I think it's 32 pounds paper weight. I like that weight because it's nice and thick and luxurious, but if you want something a little bit lighter, I would recommend 100 GSM, which I think is about 20 pounds. I wouldn't go any less than that because it will be way too thin. The reason that I love this paper is it is super smooth paper, and it's a joy to write on. So that's the paper. I also have a 6-hole hole punch for my ring binder. This is a Rapesco hole punch, and it's fully adjustable, so I can do pocket, personal, agenda, mini, compact, loads of different sizes, as well as A5, which is the organizer, which I have, an A5 organizer. And what I tend to do with my paper is I either print 2 sheets on A4, which is how the Canon inserts come, or I will print I will chop the paper down to A5 size and print A5 pages. So this is the paper trimmer that I use to trim my paper. It has a guillotine on one end and then the roller trimmer on the other. If this ever goes, I'll be replacing it with a Fiskars one. So I'll pop links for the hole punch, the trimmer, and the paper in the description below. And then my printer is a Canon Pixma printer, and I have an IP8750 printer. This baby takes 6 ink cartridges. So I have black, grey, yellow, permanent black, cyan and magenta. And I just think that this does really good quality. It allows me to print up to A3, and it gives a really good print quality as long as you use a good quality paper. So this is what I'm going to print my inserts out on. Now let's get into actually printing out my PDF inserts. You're going to have to excuse me. You can see my reflection there, but I just wanted to get this video out. I wanted to do a screencast, but if I do a screencast, this video is just going to take me ages and ages to get out, and I'm not going to let perfectionism hold me back. It's going to be a rough and ready production, but the info inside is solid. So let me give you the solid info. So here I've got the monthly Canon insert. Now this is a freebie, which there'll be a link down below. But if you go to canon.com/bundle, you'll be able to sign up to the Canon Planner fam and get yourself a set of gorgeous free inserts that you'll be able to do loads of different things with. So this is the monthly one on A5. Now what I would normally do, as I said, let's just set up. So if I'm printing on A5, what I would do is trim my paper down to A5. You can buy A5 size paper, but because I want this particular type of paper, because it's just gorgeous, I buy it in A4 and trim it down myself because it's not available in A5. The measurement that you're going to want to trim the paper to A5, you're going to want it to be around 148 millimeters wide. And I say around because you're never going to get it exactly, okay? Just accept that. But if you can get it close to that, that will give you your A5 size. Next up, I'm just going to put my paper in my printer, adjust the paper feeder, and let's send this to print. So here is the PDF. I'm just going to press the print icon, which should open up the print dialog. Now I'm using the free version of Adobe Acrobat. Again, I'll pop a link below so that you can go and get your free version. And then in here, I've got my I just select my printer, which is the Canon. I'm going to go into properties. I'm just going to make sure that I've got my A5 paper. So there we go, A5 paper size for the printer. I've got standard quality. I'm just going to go ahead and OK that. And then in here, I just want to make sure that I've got it set to actual size, not fit, not shrink, not any of those, actual size. And I'm going to print on both sides. And because this is A5 that I'm printing on, I'm going to want to flip on the long edge. So make sure I've got that flip to long edge on the A5. And then I'm going to send that to print. So here it is coming out. Now when you take it out, you're going to make sure you put it in exactly the same way it comes out. So it's going to go in upside down, but I'm going to flip it over. So that goes back in. So just to reiterate, it's come out that way, upside down. So I'm going to put it back in upside down and I'm just going to flip it over. And then my printer is already set up waiting for me to print on the other side because I set it to print on both sides. I'm just going to click start printing. And there you go, printed on both sides, simple, easy. You can just print as many as you need in this way. And that's how I print straight onto A5. Next, let me show you how I print two A5 on one sheet of A4. This is really handy. This is how I supply all of my inserts because I think sometimes it's just easier that way. Plus, I'm going to give you a cutting guide, or sorry, a trimming guide on those inserts, which just makes it a little bit easier in terms of trimming it down. You don't have to try and measure it out on your trimmer. You can just use the guide. So let's dive into that one. So this time I'm going to put my sheet of A4 in, just going to adjust the size. There we go. So here is my 2 A5 on one sheet of A4, and you can see there is a trim guide in the middle. And I'm just going to go into the print properties. There we go. I'm going to go into properties for my printer. And I'm just going to make sure that I select the correct setting for this. So standard, make sure it's on A4 paper. Awesome. And I'm going to click OK. And then on the print dialog box, I'm just going to make sure that in page setup, it's set to A4, which it is. Click OK. I want to print on both sides again. I've got it set to actual size. And this time I want to flip on short edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and send that to print. So when it comes out of the printer, it's the same thing again. Whichever way it comes out, you want it to go in that way. So it came out this way. So I'm going to put it back in this way and just flip it onto the back. Okay. And then the final one that you can print is A5 with crop marks. Sorry, that's just the printer going in the background. So with the A5 with crop marks, it just means if you're, say, in a country where you've got a different paper size from A4, you can always print it on whatever paper size you have and trim it down. All you would do is just put my sheet back in, send it to print. My paper is A4, so I'm just going to go into properties and make sure that we've set to standard, paper size A4, standard print quality, okay. And then here I'm just going to make sure I've got it set to actual size. Again, really important, always have it set to actual size. I'm printing on both sides. I want to make sure that because this is my long edge here, that I set the print on both sides feature to flip on long edge, and then just hit print. Now you can see it's come out this way, so I want to make sure I'm going to put it back in the printer this way, but I need to flip it over. So I'm just going to do that, pop it back in, and then click start printing again. And as you can see, we've got the crop marks, and they should be, hold it up to the light, exactly in the same place. Oh, it's a little bit off, but I think that's going to be natural with the printer. It's pretty spot on. It's good enough. So let's get into trimming it now. So first up, I'm going to I'm going to trim the 2A5 on A4. And I'm going to use the guillotine so that I can just easily line it up where it needs to be. I can check on the other side. I've got like my cutting guide there, which makes life so much easier. Just going to pop you down for a sec. Perfect. So that is it, printed on both sides, super neat. We'll hole punch those in a minute. I'm going to show you how to trim the crop mark version if you're printing on a different paper size other than A4 or A5. So the best way to do this is to get the paper into position, line it up in, I'm going to use the roller trimmer this time. I'm just going to slot it into position, get it lined up so that I can see the cutting line in the middle of my slot. And what I'm going to do, and this is the top tip here, I'm going to lift, let me just adjust this a little bit more. I'm going to lift up my cutting rotary blade, pop it down, and then trim and not go all the way, and then lift it up. So I haven't trimmed. Oh, I needed to go a little bit more at the other end. Let's see if I can get that lined up. And as you can see, I've left it still attached to the paper. So when I trim the other side, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm not going to trim it all the way to the end. I'm going to lift up the rotary blade. Let's get this lined up. I'm going to lift up the rotary blade, place it approximately in the middle, trim nearly to the end, nearly to the other end, lift it back out so that I've still got my insert attached, and then I've still got my crop marks. So now I can go ahead and trim that all the way, turn it over and do the same thing because I've still got my crop marks there. Get that lined up in the centre. I'm kind of doing this a bit rough and ready. I would normally be a bit more exact with it, but there you go. That's the A5 with crop marks printed out. And that's how you do it if you've got the crop marks. Just remember, lift up the rotary blade, place it into approximately the middle of the paper after you've got it lined up, and then trim it, but don't go all the way to the edges so that you've still got all of the crop marks on the paper so that you can easily trim it. Because if you chop off one side from top to bottom, you've lost your crop marks. Next, hole punching. Now with the Rapesco hole punch, I think it's pretty obvious how to use it. With the Canon inserts, there is a space, a little bit of margin space for the holes on one side of the paper, and there's not really that much space on the other side. So just make sure that you are printing it on the correct side of the page. Make sure that you've got mine's adjustable, so you just need to make sure that you need to make sure that you've got it adjusted to A5. And then you just pop your paper in, make sure it's all the way in and it's properly lined up. Punch your holes, flip it over and do down a little bit. Flip it over and do the other end, and there you go. Professional looking print and hole punch. So there you go, Mama. It really is quite easy to print your own inserts as long as you've got some good tools to use, your trimmer, your hole punch, great paper, a decent printer. You've got the free Adobe Acrobat. You can print it out. Just remember these few tips about print actual size. When you're flipping the paper, come back and check the tips for print on both sides. Flip on long edge, flip on short edge. You're going to want to flip on the short edge if you're printing on A4, or long edge if you're printing on A5. And if you're printing with the crop mark version, you're going to want to flip on the long edge if you're printing on both sides. And then when you're trimming the crop mark version, just remember, lift up your rotary blade and place it in the middle of the trim line where you're going to cut, and don't take that rotary blade all the way to the top and bottom. Take it nearly to the top and bottom so that the paper is all still attached and you've still got your other crop marks to finish off trimming the top and the bottom. So I hope you found these tips useful. I think they're going to really help you when you're printing out your planner pages, so that you don't waste paper, waste ink, get frustrated, because it can be a little bit confusing if you've not done it before. So give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe whilst you're there. And if you want to get a hold of the gorgeous bundle of planner inserts from Keshinomic, head to the link down in the description. You can go over to the Keshinomic Planner Fam, sign up, get your freebies, and come back and watch this video to see how you print them out. That's it. Bye for now, Mama. See you later. Bye, 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 bye.